Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. So, I've been a little lax on the videos in the last couple of weeks or so. I think with everything going on, it's been a little challenging. But over the last couple of days or so, I've been posting a lot more than I've posted in a while. I think it's just been a trying time for a lot of people, both just emotionally, mentally. It's just been a lot. Over the last week or so, I attended, a couple of protests. I also went out and tried to help clean a little bit in my area where a store had been hit, and just trying to do what I can, right, in the midst of everything. Now, the last protest I attended was on Friday. Thursday was kind of like my rest day because I have kind of been all over the place. And my daughter comes to me Thursday morning. She's 15, and she says, "Well, Mom, my friends want to. They asked if I can go to a protest today." Now, she didn't look like she wanted to go. She looked reluctant, and I could just tell on her face that she really just didn't want to go. She just didn't. Now, I was also hoping that she wouldn't want to go because I knew if she wanted to go, I would have to go with her because I'm not going to send my 15-year-old to a protest by herself, her and two other girls. These girls one is white and one is like Indian, right? We live in a pretty mixed area, just a little bit of everybody. So I was like, well, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I really don't want to go. I was like, cool. I didn't push it. I was like, okay, cool. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, well, phew, I'm glad she doesn't want to go because if she wanted to go, then of course I would have to go with her. And I really just don't feel like going. And second, let them go protest for you. Let them go do that. Let them go stand out there and do it, right? Black girls, black women are always at the front, in the front. Let them go do it for a change. Honestly, that was my honest to God opinion about all of this. And I'm prefacing this video or this conversation with that because that is kind of what I want to talk about. Now, I posted something on my community tab yesterday telling you guys, just my opinion, that I was a bit uncomfortable seeing children at protest. And there's a few reasons for that. Now, everybody's entitled to do whatever they want with their kid in that regards, right? They make the decision of whether they feel like, or they assess whether they feel like it's a safe environment, whether it's not safe. But when it comes to protests, you don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. They start peaceful. They don't necessarily always end that way. And so I was a bit uncomfortable seeing children out there. I've seen several pictures. I saw one kid on his father's shoulders. I think that was a little boy. And the policeman is like literally holding or like pointing a rubber bullet gun at this kid. And I can only imagine how traumatic that has to be for a child to see this chaos out here. Mostly peaceful, but if police are being agitators, right? If they are provoking, it can turn ugly and it can turn ugly quick. And so I'm not necessarily comfortable with children out there. That's just me. Now, another part of me also is very, very uncomfortable watching young girls on the front lines, specifically young Black girls. I have seen it. I am peeping it. I am watching how it's being played out. Matter of fact, Good Morning America had a small segment on, little girls kind of being a part of the movement, the protesting, and it was like kind of a cute, kind-hearted type of segment. But I also see the young girl that they put in the forefront of this segment was a young Black girl. And I've also seen another little Black girl, which you're going to kind of see her image pop up. I've tried to blur her face as much as possible, but she's been going viral. This little 7-year-old beautiful little girl who's been going viral for being on the forefront, being in the front of protest, using her voice. And at first I thought it was cute. And then I had to stop and think to myself how much I actually, as cute as she is, how much I didn't like it. Because I feel like, first of all, again, protests can go, it can go left really quickly, right? So I don't necessarily think it's necessarily a safe space for children. And also wondering why this baby ain't at home jumping on a trampoline like Becky. Becky out, wherever she live and jumping on the trampoline, and this baby got 400 years of oppression on her back, leading a protest march, and it was just a bit unsettling to me. All right, and it was just something that I'm actually not digging. I'm not feeling the messaging. Again, it could be very genuine. And I'm certainly not going to say that it's not. Her parents could certainly be activists and could have been, hidden every protest, had her out there since birth. And maybe she's just used to that, right? But it still, for me personally, doesn't sit well in my spirit to see little Black girls once again thrust to the front of the line in front of others, protesting for everybody, protesting for our Black men, saying not all lives, Black lives matter. It's just unsettling, and I'm just kind of tired of it. The protest that I went to had similar images with Black women being in the front. And I saw this tweet. It said, "I want Miss Winter," I believe that's her name, "at home being a kid, enjoying the same childhood privileges as little white girls, not out here having to be a young Black activist." And so I ask you guys, how do you feel about children being at protests? And how do you feel about this image of this young Black girl almost taking on the face of the protest that we are now seeing? And, a lot of people had a lot of different opinions. I caught some tweets, and a lot of people had a lot of different opinions. I saw people under my community tab saying, "Hey, if her parents think it's great, it's fine as long as she's safe." And, and then I saw people who had similar reservations that I had. And again, it was twofold. I don't necessarily feel that kids should be at protest. I know that kids probably protested back in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s and all this other stuff. But, and I'm sure that was probably even more dangerous, but you just don't know, right? You just don't know. And these police out here, they really just showing how they don't give a damn, right? In the way they've been treating. I mean, I've been seeing people getting tear gas, seeing rubber bullets, like those little pepper bombs or whatever. Just seeing people just scrambling and running and screaming. Imagine a child out there with that going on, and seeing this baby girl again leading the charge, when I feel like, well, people should be leading the charge for her. When I went out to my protest, the protest that I was attending, I made my sign for Breonna Taylor. Right, I printed out a picture of Breonna Taylor. If you don't know, Breonna Taylor is the young EMT. She was an emergency room tech who was murdered in her home from a no-knock raid in the middle of March. Louisiana, I keep saying it. Louisville, Kentucky Police Department raided her home, wrong home, came in there, shot her up. Her boyfriend shot back. He was charged at first with attempted murder or assault or something like that, and then the charges were later dropped, and nobody has been held accountable for this. Okay, now this is a problem. Now we see everybody all over the world marching for George Floyd, and I pray to God that these men are convicted. I pray that justice is served. George Floyd has become the face of what's happening right now. It's true. But I don't want people to forget about Breonna Taylor and the many women, Black women, who have also lost their lives by the hands of the police, and how Black women are often thrust into the front of these protests. And let me just say this, because I don't want somebody coming at me. Don't come over here with that bullshit. Men, I love black men who love people like me. I love black men who love black women like me. I'm going to preface that. And I'm also going to say, if it don't apply, let it fly. But I worry about seeing a little girl like this in the front of a protest, in the front, leading the charge, knowing that in a few years, she's probably still going to be out there marching for men who wouldn't even choose her. Now, I'm going to say that again for those that didn't hear me. I'm worried about seeing little black girls leading the charge and being in the front of these protests and fighting for people, fighting for black men who wouldn't choose her. That hurts me to say it, but it's true. These young black girls are often, it feels like we're rearing them up to be mules, to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, to carry the world, to fix everything. They're not allowed to be little girls. They're not allowed to be vulnerable or soft or gentle. They have to be loud, and they have to go out there, and take over and be aggressive. And they gotta, the strong black woman, they gotta be the strong black warrior princess. Right? And it's like, why? Why can't they step back and let the men lead? A black man was murdered. Black man, get out there and do your thing. Go out there and fight for him, right? Because let me just say this. If things had been reversed and Breonna Taylor was the one that had her neck stepped on for 8 minutes, 46 seconds, would the world have just blown up and been set ablaze for her? And I just don't think it would have been. And I don't want you to think for a second that I'm trying to cause divisiveness between black men and black women, because we know there's always that, right? That underlying thing there. But I just want us to be able to step back and let other people fight. I hate that we always have to be in the front, always doing the fighting for everybody. People that wouldn't fight for us, which is why I go back to the story I told about my daughter when she said her friends wanted to go out there and fight. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, well, shit, go let them go and do it. Why do we always have to be the ones to go? Let them go and let them see how it feels. Let them go do it. And that's how I feel about my black men. Black women, just being out there at some of these protests, it was certainly probably 80-20 when it comes to men and women, right? Mostly black women, 20% I would say black men. And then you saw white folks out there too, right? And it's just becoming too bit of a norm. So when I see, Good Morning America and other things like, pushing that image of that little black girl being out there in the forefront, I just feel like it's an agenda to make little black girls activists when they should, in my opinion, just be at home being a little girl. Little black girls and young black men, they already have a lot going on. Depending on your socioeconomic status, young black girls, when I was growing up, had to take care of the kids while their mom went to work. You know what I'm saying? She was on the stove. I didn't even let my kid touch the stove until she was about 12 years old. I was probably cooking when I was like 6 or 7 years old on the stove. You know what I'm saying? It's already that responsibility that young black girls have to be these nurturers so very young. And now you got to go out and save the world when the world would never save us. They would never save you. So, that just bothers me. And then seeing, of course, the different reactions from George Floyd's fiance, the white woman, that was like, oh, stop. He wouldn't want this. And then I saw somebody saying, well, he got a black girlfriend. I was like, ooh, this is a little messy, but we ain't gonna go there. This is serious. Seeing the different reactions and then thinking about how the white woman was like, no. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, see, it matters. People don't want to sit here and have that conversation, but it matters who you are with. It matters because it just matters. And, again, the world is fighting for him because it was wrong what happened. And I do want to see justice for him, but I'm just saying I'm tired of seeing Black women always on the front lines, and I don't want to see little Black girls always on the front lines and being pushed out there to be the warriors, out there being the strong. That she has already taken on the role of the strong Black woman, and the girl is 7 years old. For goodness sake, let that baby go and play in some water and you know, throw water balloons or something like that. That's all I'm saying. I just feel uncomfortable with little Black girls taking on that role and assuming that role. You know, just let us step back and let them fight. Step back and let other people fight for us. Because again, I hate to say it, but I just feel like she's still going to be doing this when she grown for men that wouldn't look her way. They would not even look her way. And I just wanted to get that off my chest. So I just want to know what you guys think about kids protesting. Like I said, to each his own. I'm sure parents feel like, you know, if things are safe and they feel like this is the best thing for their kid, they're going to take their kid out there. I personally wouldn't do it, but I certainly want to know what you guys think about kids protesting and young Black girls out there, stepping out there on the front lines, doing that and being the face of these movements, being the face of it. What do you guys think about that? I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your opinions. Sound off below in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, I will see you guys on the next video. Take care, y'all.